Coffee Break Swedish, Season 1, Lesson 26. Hej och välkomna tillbaka till Coffee Break Swedish. Jag heter Mark.
Och jag heter Hanna.
Hur mår du, Hanna?
Jag mår bra, Mark. Hur mår du?
Jag hostar lite och jag är förkyld.
Åh nej, du måste gå till apoteket.
Ja, jag behöver medicin.
Bra, I'm so positive about this. Yes, you do.
I actually am only joking. I'm feeling absolutely fine, but I thought I would get a little bit of our previously learned language in there. We are back with another episode of Coffee Break Swedish, and this one is a really interesting episode because I've been looking forward to this. This is an episode in which we're really going to be getting into the way of using Swedish in a conversation, making conversation with people, and finding out a little more about why people are doing certain things. Hanna.
Yes, we're going to ask people why they're doing things, and we're going to use the question word varför.
Varför, okay. And if you're a classical English scholar, you'll recognize varför meaning wherefore, which of course means why. Wherefore art thou Romeo?
Yes, exactly.
Ska vi börja?
Ja, låt oss börja. So when we ask a question, you're going to remember this, Mark. We start with a question word and then a verb and a subject. So here we start with varför, and then we have a verb. And I thought we would start with something easy, something we're familiar with. So bo. So bor. So varför bor du i Skottland?
Okay, so we're looking at the question word, as you said, varför, why. Bor, live, do, you, I Scotland. Why do you live in Scotland? Okay, so could I answer this by saying min familj kommer ifrån Skottland?
Ja, jättebra. This is many lessons ago, Mark.
It is
well
indeed,
done. Yeah. And if you would ask me, can you ask me, Mark?
Varför bor du i Skottland, Hanna?
And we can just answer with that kind of one sentence answer. So, jag har en skotsk pojkvän.
Okay, jag har en skotsk pojkvän. I have a Scottish boyfriend?
Ja, perfect.
Okay. So, you've answered the question with a statement. Why do you live in Scotland? I have a Scottish boyfriend. But how would we say because I have a Scottish boyfriend?
So, we will use the expression för att, which is like because in English.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't just start a sentence like that, just like you in English wouldn't start a sentence because. Mm-hmm. So I have to state, jag bor i Skottland, and then we say, för att jag har en skotsk pojkvän.
So, you know, I always like to kind of make this into Swenglish so that I can understand exactly what's going on here. Is it similar to saying, I live in Scotland for that I have a Scottish boyfriend?
Ja.
Så för att jag bor i Skottland, för att jag har en skotsk pojkvän. I would say, jag bor i Skottland för att min familj kommer ifrån Skottland.
Ja. Perfect.
Right. För att, okay.
And I don't know if you have heard the phrase därför att, Mark, before.
I don't think I have, no.
Okay, then it's not an issue. But people might recognize that we use därför att, and a lot of my students always ask, like, what is the difference? And there isn't a difference. Därför att is the more formal version, if you put it that way. And when Swedish people speak, they often use för att, and that's why I chose that we talk about för att today.
Okay. So in terms of our listeners, maybe they're learning Swedish for a particular reason, or they're living in a Swedish-speaking place for a particular reason. So obviously our example there, varför bor du i Scotland, is for our situation. But could we learn some other sort of chatting phrases that would be useful for getting to know people and finding out more about why they're learning Swedish, why they're living in Sweden and so on?
Ja, absolut. So see if you understand this question. Varför lär du dig svenska?
Okay, so why are you learning Swedish? Jag lär mig svenska för att jag tycker om svenskt musik.
Ja, bra.
But, there's a but in there.
Say it again.
Okay. I'm not sure about my agreement here in the adjective. I'll see what I said. Jag lär mig svenska för att jag tycker om svenskt musik.
Is the adjective. It's good. So you knew it was something there that wasn't perfect.
Yeah, so what should I have said?
So musik is an N-word.
Right. So svensk musik.
Precis.
Okay, so jag lär mig svenska för att jag tycker om svensk musik.
Yeah, and you could have said it in that kind of one sentence answer of just jag tycker om svensk musik.
Yeah, of course. So I've added in the för att. Okay, so what other reasons may our listeners have for learning Swedish?
Min flickvän är svensk.
Okay, my girlfriend is Swedish. You said jag har en skotsk pojkvän, so could I say jag har en svensk pojkvän?
Absolute. So if you remember from many lessons ago, when we talk about somebody being a nationality, is the adjective form. So is gender neutral. So we use the same form, or we could say min flickvän är svenska as well.
Okay, either way. So jag har en svensk pojkvän, en svensk flickvän, and so on.
Ja. Precis. Okay. Notice, Mark, and I know we talked about this, I think it was last lesson, about reflexive pronoun, about lär dig.
Mm-hmm.
So what if you would say, I'm learning Swedish, what would you say then?
Jag lär mig.
Ja, and if you would say, let's talk about this, I don't know, Swedish girlfriend, she is learning, how would you say it then?
Hon lär sig.
Bra, perfekt. Och vi lär oss svenska.
Vi lär oss, okej. Okay. Would it be ni lär er?
Ja, ni lär er. And what about them?
De lär sig, I think.
Perfekt, bra.
Okay.
Good student.
So let's just from the point of view of some review, let's go through the whole att lära sig verb together. So I am learning, or I'm learning myself, as it were.
Jag lär mig.
You learn.
Du lär dig.
He learns.
Han lär sig.
She learns.
Hon lär sig.
And the gender neutral pronoun they learn.
Hen lär sig.
We learn.
Vi lär oss.
You all learn.
Ni lär er.
And they learn, plural.
De lär sig.
Okay, now what is really interesting, each time you've said hon lär sig, hen lär sig, dom lär sig, and we can hear the sh sound because the R and the S are running together. It's always good to hear that.
I'm sorry, it's when I speak quick Swedish, and then when I have my students, I'm like, no, it's fine. You can say, and then I'm get ahead of it myself, and I go straight.
That's absolutely fine. It's good to hear it. It's good to get used to this. Okay, so anything else that you want to go on with here?
Well, I thought we could just have a think because of last lesson when we said about liking things, and we used tycker om. How we would ask somebody why they like something.
Okay, right. So could I ask you, let me think, varför tycker du om sommaren?
Ja, bra. So you remember that you have that du in between tycker om. So great, varför tycker du om sommaren? And I could reply with that kind of short sentence. Det är varmt och soligt då.
It's warm and sunny then?
Yeah, Swedish people really like this då. When you go to Sweden, you're going to hear då all the time that we end sentences with då.
Okay.
But I guess we can do the longer answer and use för att. Så jag tycker om sommaren för att det är varmt och soligt då.
Right, so I like the summer because it's warm and sunny then.
Ja, perfekt.
Så jag tycker om sommaren för att det är varmt och soligt då.
Ja. So should we make it a little bit more complicated, Mark?
I think so. I think our listeners will be able to manage this. I hope I am able to manage it.
I believe in both our listeners and you, Mark. So if we're going to make it into a negative question, how do we make something negative in Swedish?
We use inte.
Ja, precis. So it's about where we put the inte. So if we started with varför bor du i Skottland? I guess I don't live in Sweden. Why don't I live in Sweden? Where would we put the inte? So varför bor du inte i Sverige?
So is that the only place that you can put it? We couldn't say varför bor du i Sverige inte?
No, and my students always want to put like that kind of not in the end, and it sounds really odd in Swedish. So no, never do that.
So varför bor du inte i Sverige?
Yeah, so it needs to be after the subject. So I can reply once again with that kind of simple sentence structure of min pojkvän är inte svensk.
Okay, so my boyfriend is not Swedish.
Ja. Or, and now we make it a little bit complicated. See if you understand why it's complicated here. Jag bor inte i Sverige för att min pojkvän inte är svensk.
Oh. I was expecting you to say för att min pojkvän är inte svensk.
So when we use för att, unfortunately, we have to change the word order so the inte have to be before the verb instead. So it gets just a little bit complicated.
Okay, can we practice this with some other questions?
Ja, absolut. If I ask you, varför lär du dig inte svenska?
Okay, so why aren't you learning Swedish? What could I say in response?
You can make it that simple. Let's keep it simple to start with. Jag har inte tid.
I don't have time.
Ja.
Right, jag har inte tid. Can I try it with the för att
Ja,
part?
absolut.
Okay, so varför lär du dig inte svenska? Why aren't you learning Swedish? Jag har inte tid. I don't have time. But if we make the full sentence, jag lär mig inte svenska för att jag inte har tid.
Ja, precis. Jättebra.
So it's coming before the verb. Jag inte har tid för att jag inte har tid, ja?
Ja, precis. But I guess we can make it easier for ourselves. So if we would say, varför tycker du inte om vintern?
Why don't you like the winter?
Yeah, why don't you like the winter? You can just reply, det är mörkt och kallt då. So we don't have to maybe have a negative answer.
All right, so you're giving a positive answer to a negative question there in a sense. Okay, so why don't you like winter? It's dark and cold then. So in that situation, I just said, jag tycker inte om vintern för att det är mörkt och kallt då.
Yes, we just keep it that simple. But if you want to, because we talked about the summer and you know the opposite, just to practice, let's practice it.
Well, I would say det är varmt och soligt då. Or det är inte varmt och soligt då. It's not warm and sunny then. So could I say, jag tycker inte om vintern för att det inte är varmt och soligt då.
Perfekt, jättebra.
This is tricky. I think we need a little break to let this all sink in. We'll be back in a moment.
All the Coffee Break Swedish podcast episodes are free, but did you know there's a full online course available?
We offer video versions of the lessons where you see the words and phrases on the screen of your device. There are lesson notes providing further information and additional vocabulary, and a bonus audio episode for every lesson.
To find out more about our online course, go to coffeebreakswedish.com.
Okay, so today we are learning about how to use för att, meaning because, and how we use that and what it does to certain clauses and parts of sentences and all that kind of thing. And this is the context really here is trying to build our conversation skills in Swedish. Hanna, where would you like to go next?
So I thought we could talk about why you want to do different things.
Okay.
And I think we have used this verb before. Do you remember what is to want is?
I think we learned jag vill köpa näsdukar. I want to buy tissues for my nose.
Ja, precis.
A nose cloth.
Okay. So if we're going to ask why we want to do certain things, we can ask varför vill du lära dig svenska?
So why do you want to learn Swedish? I guess that's a kind of question that many of our listeners may well come across, given that so many Swedish speakers speak such wonderful English.
Yeah, and I think I always ask my students this, and I get so many different answers, so I quite enjoy this question.
Good.
So you notice, we talked about this before, about vill being what we call in Swedish a hjälpverb. So the second verb, lära, is in infinitive. So we have to have that a ending on the end there. Varför vill du lära dig svenska? And once again, we can answer in that kind of simple way. So I could answer, jag vill åka på semester till Sverige.
No, we've covered semester before. It's holiday, isn't it? Vacation.
Ja.
So, jag vill åka på semester till Sverige. I want to go on holiday to Sweden.
Ja, precis. Åka, we need that A on the end. But if we're going to use för att, we would say, jag vill lära mig svenska för att jag vill åka på semester till Sverige.
And we don't need to change anything of the word order there.
No, it's nice, isn't
so,
it?
Jag vill lära mig svenska för att jag vill åka på semester till Sverige. Okay. Could we say, jag vill lära mig svenska för att jag inte vill åka till Norge?
I was wondering where that sentence was going. Grammatically, perfect. Okay. I don't know if you have offended some Norwegians there.
No, I'm obviously only joking. I love Norway and all things Norwegian. But so the inte comes before vill as well. It's not jag vill inte åka.
Nej, but good point. Yes. So always before the verbs and after the subject.
Okay. Good, right. Yeah, I'm probably taking this too far. And again, I don't want to offend any Norwegians. So that's, I want to do something. And I think the tricky thing is that jag vill åka på semester till Sverige kind of sounds a little bit like I will, but it's the old sense of will, where there's a will, there's a way. It's the desire to do something. I want to do something. How would we say, why are you going to learn Swedish?
Ja, varför ska du lära dig svenska?
All right, so this sounds a little bit like why shall you learn Swedish?
Ja, precis. And remember when we talked about the weather, that we have different ways of talking about the future. And ska is that you have the power, you have the control, that is your doing. And that's when we use ska. Okay,
so in this situation, would we not use kommer att?
No, so if you remember when we talked about the weather, that we can't control the weather, so we use this kommer att. If I would say, varför kommer du att lära dig svenska? It sounds that you are uncontrollably going to just learn some Swedish. And I go, why? And you would probably say, I don't know. I can't help myself.
So, but yeah, why are you going to suddenly be able to speak Swedish as a result of osmosis of living there or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why we use the ska that is in your control or power.
I suppose with English, with shall, there is this kind of volition, there is this desire, there is this kind of want of doing it yourself. You're taking on that role yourself or something like that.
Yeah, and ska can sound really powerful, but it can also sound like you can be quite harsh on yourself, that I'm going to do this, I have to do it.
Okay.
So if I'm asking, varför ska du lära dig svenska? Once again, I can reply in that kind of simple way. Jag ska flytta till Sverige.
Is that like I'm going to move to Sweden?
Ja. How would you use för att there then?
I think it just goes the same way as the last time. So jag ska lära mig svenska för att jag ska flytta till Sverige.
Perfect.
So flytta is like to flit in English.
Yeah.
Okay. Jag ska flytta.
Ja, precis. And I guess it's quite important when we talk about ska that you can use tänker as well. And it's just a softer kind of verb to just that you are planning to do something.
Like you're thinking about doing something almost.
Yeah.
So how would you say that? I'm thinking about learning Swedish because I'm thinking about moving to Sweden.
So if I asked it, I would say, varför tänker du lära dig svenska?
Jag tänker lära mig svenska för att jag tänker flytta till Sverige.
Ja.
So there's no preposition.
So it sounds like you are thinking about it, that you're in the early planning stages of it.
I see. Okay. What we are going to do now is listen to a conversation, and we're delighted to welcome back Lovisa. Hey, Lovisa.
Hey, Louisa.
Hey.
We are going to be listening to a conversation today between Hanna and Lovisa, and it's going to be interesting to hear what they discuss. So, Hanna, take it away.
So we just gonna plan a day, and we're gonna talk about different places to go to. So we're gonna mention Moderna Museet and Skansen, which are two places in Stockholm that you might recognize.
Excellent. Okay. Take it away, ladies.
Vill du gå på den nya utställningen på Moderna Museet?
Nej.
Varför vill du inte det?
Jag vill inte gå på Moderna Museet för att jag inte tycker om modern konst. Vill du gå på Skansen istället?
Varför vill du gå på Skansen?
Jag vill gå på Skansen för att djur är roliga att titta på.
Jag tycker inte om djur.
Varför tycker du inte om djur?
Jag tycker inte om djur för att de är läskiga.
Okay, definitely some new vocabulary in there, I think. Yeah, I think there are some things that we need to go through, but I think what would be useful is if we hear this conversation again a little more slowly.
Vill du gå på den nya utställningen på Moderna Museet?
Nej.
Varför vill du inte det?
Jag vill inte gå på Moderna Museet för att jag inte tycker om modern konst. Vill du gå på Skansen istället?
Varför vill du gå på Skansen?
Jag vill gå på Skansen för att djur är roliga att titta på.
Jag tycker inte om djur.
Varför tycker du inte om djur?
Jag tycker inte om djur för de är läskiga.
Thank you very much, Louisa. We'll hopefully have you back again soon for another conversation.
Tack så mycket, Louisa. Vi ses.
Vi ses.
Okay, Hanna, shall we go back through this conversation and quickly talk through the vocabulary in this? Because there are some new words.
Ja, så I start this conversation by saying, vill du gå på den nya utställningen på Moderna Museet?
Right. I think actually we've seen all the vocabulary here one time or another. So do you want to go, not will you go, but do you want to go to the new exhibition? Utställningen is an exhibition.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and this is in the Moderna Museet, the modern museum.
Ja, precis.
And Lovisa
Louisa
said no.
is very nice and say, nej.
Which gave you the perfect opportunity to ask an interesting question.
Varför vill du inte det?
So why won't you not that? Why don't you want to do that?
Yes, exactly. And Louisa explains herself. Jag vill inte gå på Moderna Museet för att jag inte tycker om modern konst.
Right, that's actually interesting because can you say it without the at? When you said för jag, can you say, in English we can, I guess, use the word for to give a reason for because. So I don't want to go to the Moderna Museet for I don't like modern art. It sounds a little bit strange in English to have to be honest, but could you say that in Swedish?
Yeah, I think in Swedish, you know this by now, that we drop quite a lot of words when you speak quickly. So sometimes I even in lessons, I drop the at and I try to remember it because to do it properly, you will have the at.
Right, so för att jag vill inte gå på Moderna Museet för att jag inte tycker om modern konst. I don't like modern art. Okay. Lovisa makes another suggestion.
Vill du gå på Skansen istället?
So, do you want to go to Skansen instead? Istället?
Ja. And I asked surprised, varför vill du gå på Skansen?
So, why do you want to go to Skansen?
Jag vill gå på Skansen för att djur är roliga att titta på.
Right, so this is a little bit tricky. Again, I think we've seen most of these words at some point before. Jag vill gå på Skansen. I want to go to Skansen för att djur, because animals are roliga, are funny.
Yes, you can either is in Swedish. Rolig means both fun and funny. So
okay.
My British friends always say that Swedish people use funny in a strange way, that Swedish people sometimes don't seem to understand what funny means or like the difference between fun and funny. And I'm trying to say like, yeah, because we have the same word for it.
Yeah.
So rolig can mean either or. And I thought I would fit that in just for us to practice adjectives as well. So we talk about animals, plural, so roliga.
Roliga. Okay, so animals are fun att titta på, to look at.
Yes. And I say, jag tycker inte om djur.
I don't like animals.
And Louisa is very surprised by this and say, varför tycker du inte om djur?
So why don't you like animals?
Jag tycker inte om djur för att de är läskiga.
Right, now we had läskiga when we were talking about character descriptions, I think, in our last bonus episode, perhaps?
Yes. Do you remember what it meant?
That they're scary, they're frightening.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I've got a question about jag tycker inte om djur. Can you say I don't like animals again?
Jag tycker inte om djur.
Right. So the first time you said it, you kind of emphasized the Jag tycker inte om djur.
Ja.
And is that perfectly natural?
Yes, it's an emphasis of I don't like animals. Like if you would say it in English, you would probably the emphasize of the like I don't like animals. But because we tycker om is two words, if you would do that, then the emphasis would be on the om.
So you couldn't say, for example, jag tycker inte om djur.
No, because you know we have a verb on its own that is tycker, and that is an opinion. So I guess you would emphasize tycker if you had a strong opinion about something.
Oh, okay.
So if I would say jag tycker det, I think so.
I think so.
Then is when you would emphasize tycker. But if you have the verb tycker om, then it's the om you emphasize.
So just general, I don't like animals. Jag tycker inte om djur. But I don't like animals. Jag tycker inte om djur.
Perfect, Mark.
Excellent. I'm glad I've got that sorted out in my head. That's where we're going to leave this episode of Coffee Break Swedish. And I have to say, I really feel that we've got into the language in this one. I think we really, obviously we do that every time, but here I feel we've talked about some of the intricacies of Swedish. Don't you agree, Hannah?
Yeah, I think so. And we start to feel, get comfortable with a bit more complex sentences, I think.
Absolutely. So if you'd like to take this to the next level and get into this in a little more detail, then why not look at the premium version of the course? You can find that at the Coffee Break Academy, where we provide lesson notes with further examples and explanations. Also, the video version of the lesson, where you can see all of the words and phrases on the screen of your device as you listen, and the bonus episode, the bonus listening episode. All of that is at coffeebreakacademy.com.
And you can also find us on Facebook and just search for Coffee Break Swedish. And we post regular content to help you build your cultural knowledge of everything Swedish.
Okay, that's it. Thank you very much indeed. We hope you've enjoyed this. And we'll be back soon with the next lesson. For now, tack så mycket och hej då!
Hej då!
You have been listening to a Coffee Break Languages production for the Radiolingua Network. Copyright 2021 Radiolingua Limited. Recording copyright 2021 Radiolingua Limited. All rights reserved.